SKATER XL might just be the greatest evolution in skateboarding since man first put wheels on a surfboard. As far as video games are concerned anyway. Envisioned by former skaters and industry names in the absence of the competing Tony Hawk and EA Skate franchises, the goal was to create the most grounded and realistic skateboarding game, which first released in December of 2018 on Steam Early Access and finally reached home consoles in mid-2020. I'm surprised it's taken so long for me to get my hands on a copy of this game. Yeah, I've never actually played this game myself, and coming off of Skate 3, which is often heralded as the last great skateboarding game, seeing a new contender for that title coming from an independent studio of all places, I'd be lying if I said that I wasn't a little bit skeptical, but still quite optimistic about what this game has in store. Now, I made the uninformed purchase of a PlayStation 4 version. In hindsight, Steam definitely would have been the right decision, and I'll get to why as the video progresses. We'll just get started for now, and wow, okay. No introduction, no menus, we're just dumped into a tutorial. Oh boy, this is going to be quite the learning curve. So, much like Skate's flick-it control scheme, XL takes things a step further towards realism, now designating a stick to each foot of your skater. Look at him do the shuffle. Muscle memory here is going to be both a blessing and a curse, as tricks do generally work in the same way. You flick the stick down to ollie, up to nollie, and in different directions that mimic foot movements, quite literally, to perform your different tricks. It's far more advanced with the 2 points of contact now, but fundamentally it works very similar. The problem once we start to have a dabble around in the first area is that, oh my god, learning to steer with the triggers is going to take some getting used to. Yeah, since both of the sticks are occupied by trick movement, the muscle memory from every other video game ever where you move around with the left stick is now out of the window. But that's okay, because aside from that, the game makes an otherwise impeccable first impression. Set in California with maps that can be quite extensive actually, often as an amalgamation of famous real-world skate spots, we've got the classic school area up first, which is good because I've got a lot to learn. So let's whip up a custom character and get to skating. There is no objective in the game, no story or anything like that. We're free to explore and encouraged to experiment with the terrain to create more down-to-earth tricks and lines, which is a lot easier said than done, let me tell you. Thankfully, the game has an option to show your controller inputs to help us adjust, and there is also a list of challenges which essentially act as your only scripted objectives, more so as vast and detailed tutorials across the different categories such as basic movement, landing tricks, grabs, manuals, and working up to some more advanced and technical lines once you get more comfortable. Since the game doesn't use any sort of pre-animated tricks, every action needs to be taken with as much precision as humanly possible. Like how skateboarding actually works, and that means that you're going to fall, and fall, and fall, because man is this tricky. See, I'm not a skater, and I've never claimed to be. I love and have a lot of respect for the sport. I've taken in history lessons, documentaries, competitions and the like ever since I was a little kid, but as far as actually stepping onto a board, all I can really do is slowly push myself around a park, and that's about it. Oh, and I'm good at the falling off part. I've got the physical coordination of a bed spring. While the old habits of trying to move around with the left stick are hard to break, the thing that makes this game challenging to pick up and play is because it requires some fundamental knowledge of how a skateboard actually works. Which, if you're a skater, then this is the game for you. But if you're like me and you don't skate, then trying to wrap your head around this is some galaxy brain shit. So truth be told, I'm actually feeling quite honoured that I get to learn the intricacies at probably the most advanced level that I'm ever going to by playing this game. These different trick lists really are such an encouraging tool for the experience ahead, and after about an hour of working through some of these, heading back out into the level with a fresh appreciation for the finer details really made performing tricks so much more approachable. Finding even just a small obstacle, like a gap over a curb, quickly becomes this desire to trick it in every way possible. Frontside 180, kickflip, grab 180, backside 360, tray flip, face breaker, face breaker, face breaker! While we can't step off of the board, which I think really hurts this game's movement, as setting up a trick by running to get some extra momentum and using foot plants into obstacles was one of the greatest thrills of the skate games. We are, however, able to go into camera mode and set our spawn point at pretty much anywhere on the map, which really opens up the potential for more gnarly stunts, adding a higher level of risk and reward if you're able to land it. And of course, you can then go into the replay editor to view, cut, and clean up your clips and upload them for your friends to see. These camera tools are exquisite. The sheer volume of control you've got to create flowing, seamless edits of your most radical and reckless voyages cannot be understated. With no story, no objective, no points for scoring, I would consider this more of an art tool than a video game. Once we venture out to greater streets and various skate parks, it's all about expression of yourself, your style, and your ability to shred anything. The game's song playlist is a little bit samey and short-lived for me, so I suggest you mute that shit, crank your own jams, and just vibe to the endless embrace of creativity. That's how this game is meant to be played. While there aren't a significant heap of levels or anything, our options range from sprawling downtown streets, traditional skate parks, and some iconic spots such as the LA Courthouse. Man, dropping in and immediately recognizing this structure from American Wasteland? Mwah. And how could I forget, this location also appeared in Thrasher's Skate and Destroy on PS1, and I remember not being a fan given the limited skatable terrain, and it's much the same here. I get that they're going for realism, but it's a little underwhelming going from such expansive, sprawling locations to an insignificant speck of a level. And one of my biggest gripes here is that all of these maps feel dead. There is no life, no pedestrians or traffic to get in the way, not even any interactive objects to crash into. Skate may have been silly at times, but it was typically grounded in reality, requiring you to work with the environment you're given. These courses being so vastly empty just isn't all that immersive if I'm being completely honest, and that really makes this feel like a prototype rather than a finished game. It's only half-baked, and that's a real shame. This becomes even more apparent exploring objectives further across every map. Sometimes objects don't work as they're supposed to. On the Mega Vert ramp, for example, the transition physics proved to be incredibly busted as there is no guidance for your character to stay vertical on the ramp. Skate's transition skating was such a major and impressive inclusion from the very first game that it's disappointing to see it so poorly executed here. Very brave of them to even include this as a level, if I'm being honest. Not that any of these issues stop you from completing challenges, as there are no expectation for you to accurately replicate these lines. As long as you just do the tricks on the list, then you can complete all of them just fine. Not that you would want to do it that way. It's still really enjoyable trying over and over to nail these as intended, and even after playing everything in the game, it's still a great way to learn new ways of handling the board. But this game is just begging for more, and look, if we're going to bang on about realism, then I need to bring it up. Big drops. My arch nemesis of Pro Skater 2. A feature added in to introduce a greater level of realism when landing larger stunts. I've never been a fan of these because I feel like it clashes with the fast-paced arcade nature of this game, but many people have disagreed with me over the years, and that's totally fine. So let's check out how they handle big drops in SKATER XL. Yeah, it doesn't matter at all, not one single bit. You can spawn yourself on top of some busted clock tower, throw yourself off of it and land perfectly fine, which is not what I was expecting from the skate simulation game. Not that I'm complaining personally, I'm just making an observation. So, with the main levels out of the way already, let's move over to the mod screen and check out some community additions to the game. Yeah, I was actually pretty impressed by this, along with an extensive selection of user-submitted gear for your skater, which, thank God, because without this stuff, the Creator Skater feature is a little bit bare bones. So it only takes a quick search to redefine your style in a major way. But we can also access a list of community maps as well, really expanding the potential for endless fun here. Easy Day Studios also regularly provide additional new courses and updated maps for players to download, and I've got to say, these are all really incredible. Still void of life, but look, varying up the terrain is never a bad thing, and we get to see some more legendary spots. Some of these are pre-installed onto the game with their own trick lists to complete, but the rest of them don't come with anything, which I think is a letdown. If people have the tools and are dedicated enough to making courses of this quality, especially the actual dev team, then a new list of objectives for me to play would be a major improvement that I'd be looking for. However, this modding thing works a little bit strange. I mentioned at the top how I made the uninformed decision of playing the PS4 version. Now, obviously Steam is known for the extensive workshop features and such. Looking at the potential community maps for download leaves a lot to be desired on console, whereas on PC, there is so much more community content, it's actually insane. And all of it is available at mod.io/SkaterXL, and not the Steam Workshop. So I don't understand why console players can't also have access to this content if it's being provided to a third-party server. From what I have seen, there is a lot of talent out there and plenty of continued support for this game, both from Easy Day and the fan base, so I'm glad at least that this game, despite its shortcomings, has been able to maintain its cult status. But hey, we might not have access to a lot of extras on console, but we can try out the spot editing feature, which is currently in alpha. This lets us go into the spawn menu to add in some objects and create our own little DIY skate spots, or even enhance existing areas of the map that may be a little lacking. I mean, just look at this ramp. It's out in the middle of a desert void. Even the sparse details we can see on the horizon are basically non-existent, so we can try to fill some of this empty space in with a little ghetto skate spot. It's a neat feature, it needs a lot more pieces to work with and to actually finish it off, but definitely a lot of potential here. Unfortunately though, once I started messing around with this and the custom content downloads, the game became very unstable, crashing countless times in a single sitting. Even turning this edit feature off still led to a lot of issues, so I'm going to call my time with the game there. So, my verdict. I spent a solid day with this game overall. While intimidating at first, I can't stress how utterly blown away I am by the technical achievements made with control, the attention to detail with the associated mechanics, and just how much fun I had playing this. The mark of a great game is finding yourself losing track of time, thinking about it while you're away, and then returning to frequently play it further and further, and that is exactly what XL offered me. Sure, there isn't a lot of content here, but treat it as an art tool or even just a relaxing vibe simulation. Man, I fucking love this game. Finding neat spots to experiment with, seeing the impressive community presence online, and even after thinking that I'm bored of a location in the game, quickly returning at a later point to try something that I maybe hadn't thought of at first. It truly is the best skate sim that I've played to date. But it's far from perfect. At its core, this feels like a tech demo. The worlds need fleshing out greatly. It needs a significant overhaul in polishing up the terrain and physics, and some other quality of life improvements to feel worthy of a purchase on its first boot up. If Easy Day Studios can stay committed to continuing support for this project, or possibly even looking to release a sequel with everything that they've learned and a new and improved experience, then this could go down as the greatest skateboarding game of all time. But for now, as it is at the time of this review, SKATER XL gets a 5 out of 10. And that sucks. I feel the need to continuously clarify myself on this, okay? I love this game. I'm late into production on this video, and I'm still going back to mess around with it as it scratches that itch for skateboarding, creativity, and relaxation in my downtime. It's a trifecta of what I love about these kinds of games. It's just not finished. I thought that the name would imply this was going to be the biggest skateboarding game ever, but I guess what it actually stands for is extra light, because this game has next to no damn content. The day that I see this potential fully realised and polished to a level of quality that I expect from my games, this could easily be deserving of an 8 or maybe even a 9 out of 10. But until that day comes, I still feel like SKATER XL deserves its accolades as a great little indie title. What this team have accomplished is honestly exceptional, and now that I've seen it, I cannot wait to see what the rival Session Skate Sim has in store for us tomorrow. So be sure to tune in for the final episode of the week, and until then, I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and remember to share with your friends on social media. I'm Eyed Jak, and I hope you have a great fucking day. Thanks for watching.